Hey guys, what's up? It's Greg Trzebowski with CinemAddicts. For this episode, I have a couple of interviews for the same project. The TV series is called The Bondsman. And The Bondsman, there's 8 episodes of this new Prime Video series. And I was able to interview executive producer, showrunner Erik Oleson, and also Maxwell Jenkins. Maxwell Jenkins plays the son of Kevin Bacon and Jennifer Nettles in The Bondsman. He's a very good young actor, and he's a fellow UCLA Bruin. And he's currently going to UCLA right now. I'm an old man. I graduated in 93. So I apologize for doing the whole Go Bruins thing at the beginning of my interview with Maxwell Jenkins. I'll talk about The Bondsman in a few moments. If you're interested in just learning about a little bit about what a showrunner does or the ins and outs of being a producer of a showrunner of a television show, listen to my interview with Erik Oleson. It's, like I always say, very value added. Even though, aside from Bruins talk with Maxwell Jenkins, Jenkins talks about his work on The Bondsman, working with some really talented actors, and also his time as I'll talk about he plays an aspiring musician singer in The Bondsman, and that sort of dovetails into his also real life because he's part of a band as well. So enjoy these interviews with Maxwell Jenkins and showrunner Erik Oleson. That's going to be in a few moments, but specifically about The Bondsman, it comes out on Thursday, April 3rd on Prime Video. I will have a review of The Bondsman after these interviews are finished, along with my just mini review of MobLand. It's a new 10-episode series streaming on Paramount Plus. It is headlined by Tom Hardy, co-stars Helen Mirren, and also Pierce Brosnan. Just those top 3 actors. It's worth a watch, right? These are all huge, iconic, A-level actors. But do they make MobLand a worthy streaming watch on Paramount Plus? I will give a very quick review on MobLand. As of this recording, there's only 1 episode, I believe, of MobLand that is out on Paramount Plus. I've seen the first 3 episodes, so I will give you my spoiler-free take on if it's worth it. Is MobLand worth your time? And I'll also give my unbiased take on if The Bondsman is worth your time as well, the good and bad of both shows. All right, so also let me look right now. I'm going to release this from our weekly CinemAddicts podcast feed review, and I'm going to tell you what we have, me, Bruce, and Erik, have for you guys for movie reviews this week. We are covering the films for episode 288 of CinemAddicts, this interesting movie called Wake Up, Wake Up? Okay, my bad. The movies we're covering on Friday, April 4th, 2025 for CinemAddicts episode 288 include Wake Up, Parvulos, Children of the Apocalypse, Eric LaRue, When Fall is Coming. I saw that one. That's a very interesting movie. Hell of a Summer and Freaky Tales. Again, going backwards to forward. Freaky Tales, Hell of a Summer, When Fall is Coming, Eric LaRue, Parvulos, Children of the Apocalypse, and Wake Up. Obviously, Bruce Perky, he's done every single week. He does some great yeoman's work over at the Cinematic. He has about 5 of these movies covered, and I covered, what did I cover? I didn't cover anything. Yeah, I barely covered something. I covered When Fall is Coming, and I'm going to talk to Erik about Parvulos, Children of the Apocalypse. All right? And Erik's also seen Parvulos. He's seen Eric LaRue. So there should be some really good discussions with me and him over at this week's Cinematics, and as well, just check out the Cinematic for Bruce's take on a bunch of these movies. Okay, so again, our regular weekly feed is out on every Thursday. If you want to know what indie-driven movies are coming out on each Friday, check out our Cinematics episode, our main episode that comes out on Friday. Patreon members get it a day earlier on Wednesday evening, and I'm going to put a lot more interviews that Erik and I do on this weekly feed over at CinemAddicts. Well, right now, you're going to have my interviews with The Bondsman actor Maxwell Jenkins and showrunner Erik Oleson. And then at the end of this episode, you will have my mini reviews of The Bondsman and MobLand, spoiler free. All right, guys, here are the interviews. Thanks again for supporting me, Erik, and Bruce over at CinemAddicts. We love you guys, and Let us know what you're watching as well. Hit us up at info@findyourfilms.com or join us at our Cinematics Facebook group. It's just look up Cinematics on Facebook, and that's us. That's the one with 600 plus members. We would love you guys to be a member of our group and give us some recommendations of movies or TV projects you watch on a given day or a week. All right, guys, here are the interviews, and come back for the reviews. Pleasure to meet you. I'm Greg Srivastava with Deepest Stream. Pleasure.
Hey, pleasure to meet you.
So here, I'm gonna make this very, very quickly about me for a second. I graduated UCLA in 1993.
Oh yeah.
I started interviewing actors, musicians, everyone since 91. This is the first time in my career where I've actually am interviewing a fellow Bruin. So
Oh, nice.
it's a total honor, and go Bruins.
Hey man, four's up.
Yeah. So, regarding the Bondsman, how cool was it to be part of this entire community, this project? Because you have a very layered character. He's a character who's trying to follow his dreams, become a man, and follow a possible path to music. How could you relate to this character?
I mean, I could relate to it in the sense that I kind of am on a similar path in terms of the music. I think Cade's is a little more personalized in that his own father doesn't necessarily support his journey as a musician or doesn't support it yet. And I think as a musician, you're always trying to stand out, right? It's so hard now with the music world being so saturated on social media to stand out as a musician and as a creative. Cade's world is hyper localized in that respect, in that he's trying to stand out to his own father and prove his readiness. And Cade's reality oftentimes gets mixed into what he views Hub's perception of him as. So when Hub says he's not ready, Cade starts to think he's not ready. And that real world pressure, I think, is relatable beyond just musicians. I mean, you pursue anything, your parents' support, your loved ones' support is ultimately what can feel like your reality. And when Cade is missing that, I think that makes it a really relatable issue, which is what I love so much about this show, is that you have these really relatable moments masked under demons and gore and blood and violence. I mean, it really is packaged. All these family issues and ordinary world problems are packaged in this extraordinary setting.
You have some great moments, one-on-one moments with Kevin Bacon and Jennifer Nettles. What were those moments like? And obviously, in the moment, you're just trying to be in that moment and create that scene. Upon reflection, what kind of lessons did you learn from these situations? Because these are great moments you have with them during the series.
I appreciate it. I think it can be daunting when you're going into a series, especially as a more supporting character, that a lot of my meteor moments happen after the first few episodes, right? So the whole set had developed this kind of rhythm and rapport that you're stepping into and trying to match, which can be scary for sure. You don't want to throw anything off on your first day, right? Especially stepping in to such an experienced cast and crew, both in front and behind the camera. Everyone had such insane experience. Um, I think Jennifer and Kevin made it so much more seamless of a transition when I was coming in that their experience put everyone on ease, right? Everyone knew that we were going to make our day. We were packing a lot in, but we had the experience to back it up. And then also their level of openness to collaborate was huge. And they didn't have to do that as scene partners. They could have easily said, you know what, this is how we're going to do the scene, and that's the way it's going to be, but they didn't. They really were interested and curious to what the other scene partners had to say and to offer. And that just always makes it so much easier to play those family moments because it's different and raw every single time.
This is just a non sequitur, but did your experience in Arcadian help you with this role? Because your character in Arcadian, it surprised me because you and Jaden are the heart and soul of the movie, and you guys carry that narrative. And that movie's sort of about responsibility and stepping up no matter what. Did you find that through line, or am I overthinking that
No,
at all?
I think you're right. I don't know if I was consciously thinking of it at the time, but when people bring up the synthesis between my projects, I always am surprised how a lot of the time these characters have such an effect on you, that it just sometimes compounds. I think you're absolutely right. A major thing with Cade is um, his development from being trapped in between his two parents to kind of emerging as his own independent figure in this world, saying, I am going to help you, Dad, but also this is where I'm drawing the line. I am going to be a musician. This is where I'm drawing the line. Sticking up to Lucky. I absolutely love that moment. Um, so yeah, I think you're absolutely right that that growth in independence that Thomas had in Arcadian and then that Cade similarly has in here. But I also think part of that is a universal theme of growing up, you know? I mean, if you're growing up, you're gonna have those growing pains and you're gonna stretch your arms and you're gonna bump into things sometimes, just like Cade and Thomas both did. But I think that boils down to having two well-written characters with good writers behind them.
I saw, I think, an Instagram, either reel or post with you and your band.
Hmm.
You guys were playing maybe your new single or maybe another song in a dorm room. And I remembered when I was in my own dorm room, my dorm roommate introduced me to Boston, introduced me to Miles Davis.
Yeah,
And I was just listening to music on CD back in the day.
yeah.
And it was impactful for me. But you guys were in that dorm room playing music. And what's it
Yeah.
like to actually, how impactful has music been for you in being part of this band
I
at
mean,
UCLA?
huge. I think the video you're talking about was in Reber Hall. So, um, but yeah, music has been really crucial for for me as a creative, especially on the show with, you know, having that skill set, being able to go in front of the camera with a little bit more of an ease and knowing, being able to be involved in the recording process of the song rather than just kind of faking my way through it as someone, you know, who doesn't play music. Luckily, I do play music. That was super helpful. But also, I've always brought an instrument with me to every single job that I do. I use music as a way to bridge these connections with the people I work with. It really is a universal language. So when you throw that music onto a show like this, where you're actually adding a rhythm to a scene, it gels the cast so closely together, and the cast starts to speak two universal languages. I mean, you got you have the language that always goes on during a scene, right? If you're really in the moment with your scene partner, but also you're adding a backbone to it. You're communicating through this kind of secret language that only you guys know as musicians. And it was it was such a great way to bridge the cast together, collaborating on these musical projects.
Maxwell, final question. I know
Yeah,
acting must mean a lot to you personally. Just wondering, growing up, can you name a movie that meant a lot to you personally that maybe inspired you to become an artist and follow this kind of road less traveled?
sure. I think there's a few for me. But if I had to pick one right off the bat, I remember going to see Do the Right Thing at our local theater in on Southport here in Chicago, the Music Box, and they were showing it on 35 millimeter. And that was the first thing I ever watched on film. Probably was a little young to be going to watch that, but my mom was never one for the whole, you know, ratings type of thing, and she brought me to go and see Do the Right Thing, and it completely changed my viewpoint on how a story could be told. Um, and just the different ways in which you can package these really deep, important, impactful themes. I mean, I'm a social science major at UCLA. I absolutely love the study of different cultures, of history, and the bridge that you can have between the arts and that world, that academic world, is it's the type of stories I want to tell. So, yeah.
Maxwell, thank you so much for your time. Really love this series, love Arcadian, love your stuff. And the first time I saw Do the Right Thing, I was a Bruin student and I watched it a screening over at I don't know Ackerman Union right by
Oh, no
Boardwalk.
way. Really?
So just
Yeah.
FYI, again, go
Oh,
Bruins and
yeah.
congrats on your career. Erik, I'm Greg Trusavasti with Deepest Dream. Pleasure to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you, sir. Thanks for covering the show.
So speaking the title showrunner, I want to be educated because when you're growing up, when I was growing up, I was thinking writers, they're very insular, they're introverted, but they live within a world and they create the world for people like me to enjoy. But then when you're in the television medium, the writers can sometimes become the showrunner. Wondering for you, what were some of the skill sets you needed to learn as far as starting from the pen to pad to becoming sort of a leader amongst the community, or am I overshooting that kind of connection?
No, no, it's kind of a weird job, right? Because you're right. Like writers are generally nerds. I'm a nerd. Like, and so like hiding behind my screen and just coming up with a story is one particular skill set. But the requirements of show running, and I worked on many, many television shows before I ever became a showrunner. You learn all of the ins and the outs of how a show is made. You end up having to understand how every crew member does their job, how the whole post-production machinery works. When people ask me what does a showrunner do, I say it's 5.5 full-time jobs. It's you're managing the writing, you're managing production, you're managing the actors, you're managing the executives, you're managing post-production, and then you're also managing the PR and marketing in some ways at the end. Yeah.
Eric, I do believe, and I'm in my early 50s, I believe in medication. I hope you believe in maybe meditation, a healthier form of a way of connecting with everyone. Is that the unlock as far as meditating and just getting all that kind of communication and filtering it for, I guess, the best option creatively, I guess?
Well, I get a rush from the just the crisis feeling of the adrenaline of knowing that I've got, hundreds of people counting on me to come up with the right answer at any given moment in time. When I did Carnival Row, we had 1,800 people working on that show, and it was all like it all filters up to the showrunner. What are we going left or are we going right? And there's something wrong with me, man. All I can say is I love it. It's just such a rush.
Well, for me, it was a rush watching The Bondsman. I came in thinking, okay, Kevin Bacon top lining a series, possible, who knows, maybe there might be a season two, I don't know, but even just a season one, I'd be happy with. But on a guilty pleasure level, I was excited, but then it seems to me there's a lot more depth to it. Can you just talk about that right hook, left jab situation with creatively with The Bondsman? It's a lot deeper than one would imagine.
Sure. So, I mean, we've all seen tons of demon hunting movies and shows, right? Like that's a genre unto itself, a subgenre. But what makes this show fun and original and unique is the genre mashup that we brought to bear. So we bring in a family dramedy, we bring in a music story, we bring in an Appalachian noir crime story, and when you mash all of those things up and you add Kevin Bacon putting chainsaws through the foreheads of demons, you got something, right? Now suddenly you've got this fun roller coaster ride. And so like being able to kind of orchestrate the audience's roller coaster experience, that is, I think, the fun of this one.
What creative decisions went into the level of gore that you wanted on the show? I'm fine with it, but I'm wondering, it can get very violent. So and when I review it,
Yeah.
do I warn people, or I mean, what's that kind of line that one draws with something like this?
Well, certainly. Look, I mean, this is a there's definitely blood and guts for the horror fans of the Blumhouse genre fandom, right? And this is not appropriate for young children. But it is, I think, a really fun ride. So if you're somebody who's squeamish with the blood and guts, we don't go too far, and we're going to make you laugh while you're watching it, right? So the whole for me, the balance of humor undercuts the gory. I really wanted to mash the show up in a way that you don't know whether you're going to laugh out loud or scream out loud. You just don't know what's coming next, but you're having fun watching it. I've done some genre writing that was a little heavier with Daredevil. I've done big political kind of shows like Man in the High Castle, which is another kind of different world build. Um, with this one, given the state of the world right now, I just wanted to laugh and have fun writing it, have fun making it, and hopefully create an experience that viewers are going to have fun watching.
It is fun. All that said, can you just talk about the subtle theme of accountability, which is interwoven within the structure? And I think it's not a heavy-handed approach, and I thought it was really well well woven into
Oh,
your show.
well, thank you. Well, look, I mean, we've all done stuff that we regret. It just so happens that Hub Halloran, played by Kevin Bacon, has done something really awful that has gotten him sent down to the hot place. And yes, redemption and accountability are themes that work in the show, although they're not going to play out the way that you might think. And so I think that that is just a rich place to go. And since you touched on it, what was interesting to me was to have every one of the characters having some element of that in their character arc. The most obvious one is Lucky, who is the other character, the romantic rival for Marianne's affections, opposite Kevin Bacon's Hub Halloran. So in that love triangle, Lucky was a Boston mobster who murdered people in his former life and has tried to turn over a new leaf in Landry, Georgia, by taking on Hub Halloran's ex-wife and son and trying to get clean and redeem himself and join AA and just be a good person in his last chapter of life, only to find out that his girlfriend's ex is from hell. Like literally, it's like the poor Schlemiel. He had no chance.
Final question. Do showrunners ever believe in writer's block? When writers ask for how do you cure writer's block, I'm sure a showrunner like you will have a completely more logical answer to that. And for me, selfishly, what happens when people say, can you give me a second season right now? What kind of answer would you give to that? And thank you for your time.
Okay, all right. So that's a two question, but I'll answer them both. So
Okay.
Last one first. I'm very hopeful and cautiously optimistic. I wrote the end of the show to be as difficult for Amazon as possible to not give us a season 2. And so I'm very hopeful that we'll have a season 2. In terms of your writer's block question, there are techniques to overcome it. Like you just have to come at it from different angles. I like to write out beat sheets or organize my ideas without, if you are stuck trying to write, in your case, perhaps prose paragraphs and sentences, move on to beats of like ideas that you want to hit. Draw up an outline or start to riff, start to free associate. And by the end of that, you will have all of these ideas that you are feeling compelled to write down. And as a showrunner, writer's block is not on the table. I've got hundreds of people counting on me to make my deadlines. I got millions of dollars of somebody else's money on the line. It's just not an option. So writer's block is not a part of my life.
Erik, thanks again for the conversation and really love the Bondsman.
Thank you for watching. Thanks for getting the word out.
All right, take care. All right, guys, my reviews of The Bondsman and MobLand very quickly. These are going to be spoiler-free reviews, so don't worry about me giving away too much stuff for either. If I give anything away, it'll just be very surface level, plot level stuff for both shows. Now, The Bondsman, 8 episodes, Prime Video on April 3rd. Here is the official plot synopsis. Quote, murdered bounty hunter Hub Halloran, played by Kevin Bacon, is resurrected by the devil to trap and send back demons that have escaped from the prison of hell. By chasing down those demons with the help and hindrance of his estranged family, Hub learns how his own sins got his soul condemned, which pushes him to seek a second chance at life, love, and country music. All right, so the country music stuff is perfect because Kevin Bacon, who plays Hub Halloran, Hub's wife is Marianne, ex-wife is Marianne, and she's played by country music star Jennifer Nettles. So you get to see Jennifer Nettles sing and perform in the series, along with her son, Maxwell Jenkins, who plays their son, Tait Halloran. So Maxwell Jenkins plays Cade, Jennifer Nettles is Marianne, Kevin Bacon is Hub. The first episode, it deals with, as it says here in the plot summary, he's resurrected by the devil. Hub Halloran, as you might have seen in the trailer as well, he's killed while being a bail bondsman. He's off to some kind of motel and he gets ambushed and he gets killed. And he comes back to the world by the devil because he's in hell. And Hub actually gets a reprieve. He gets to live on Earth as long as he continues, or as long as he agrees to fight and send back demons that are invading the Earth. Okay, and each episode deals with Hub and his family dealing with these respective demons. So what's good about the show is no demon is particularly alike. So it gives the 8 episode series a little bit of a variety. Also, the big surprise for the Bondsman is the show. I believe the big great thing about the show is Beth Grant as Kitty Halloran. Kitty is the mother of Hub, and she has a lot of scene stealing moments. She's just a very charming and talented actress. And seeing her interplay and being a mom to Hub, she's also Bail Bondsman and sometimes the more smarter and more responsible and gutsier version of Hub. So she is a mother bear trying to protect her cub, and it's great to see their interplay throughout the Bondsman. In fact, as much as I appreciate the demon fighting, I really my favorite part of the Bondsman was whenever Beth Grant as Hub's mother came onto the scene. She's excellent on the show. Everyone else is really interesting. There's also I wanted to mention Damon Harriman. You might not know the name, but you might know the actor. If you've ever seen Justified, he played Dewey. He was great as Dewey in Justified. He plays Lucky Callahan in The Bondsman, and Lucky is the current boyfriend of Marianne. He owns the local bar in the area, and he, along with owning the bar, he has a lot of nefarious activities on the side. Has a criminal past. The thing is, Lucky and Hub do not get along. Lucky is seemingly trying to shed his criminal ways and go on the straight and narrow. Or is it straight and narrow or straight and arrow? I don't know, but straight and narrow. He's trying to be legal, supposedly. But then Hub, who has his own dark past, he's very jealous of Lucky because obviously Lucky is now a father figure to Cade, and he's also the lover of Marianne. So Hub's not very happy, okay, at the time of his death, right? So when Hub's killed, he comes back to Earth and he starts, as the show progresses, he tries to possibly make amends with his family. Will he make amends with Lucky? Not going to give that away, whether it goes north or south. But let's just say that Hub and Lucky are really not the best of friends at the beginning of the series, and it's a really interesting reason why they're not friends, and you're going to see it throughout the series. What deep-seated hatred they have for each other. Now, also wanted to mention Jolene Purdy. She plays Midge. Midge is the sort of boss, maybe coordinator for Hub. She is the one who gives Hub his daily jobs of demon hunting. And so when we see her, she's a little bit of a mystery on what's her motivation, where does she come from. That stuff will be answered in The Bondsman as well. And she's very good on the shows. And she's a great addition to the cast, Jolene Purdy as Midge. So there's some really interesting characters in The Bondsman. It might be a positive or negative for you, but each episode is only about maybe 25 to 30 minutes, 30 minutes at the most, maybe at length. So the good news is you'll be able to gobble up all of the episodes like candy. Your binge watch will be very accelerated. You might go completely Flash or the Quicksilver on The Bondsman and just eat it up like gummy bears, right? Like gummies, and you'll be finished pretty soon. Now, that's great, but after you're done with the candy rush, does it leave an aftertaste? Are you remembering this junk food that you just consumed within a few moments, seemingly a few moments? In my opinion, the answer is yes. Because when you realize on the surface level, it's fun because there's demon hunting, demon hunting. And there is, by the way, a little bit of a warning. There are gory moments on the show. Okay, this is dealing with very evil creatures, and you're going to see whether the evil creatures are from the afterlife or in Hub's town. Maybe there might be a little bit of both. So there is violence and some moments of gore, which might make you turn, or it made me avert my eyes just for a moment, or make me not completely gross out, but you do see some gore. Not completely over the top gore, but there will be violence. So you might turn your head for a few moments in The Bondsman. So be warned for that. Also, as much as there is a lot of fighting and demon hunting in this show, there's also a lot of humor, which I really appreciated. And the interplay, not just with Hub and his mother, but Hub and his family, you get to really feel that. It's called the Bondsman. You get to really feel the bond that the family have for each other. And it's really great seeing their interchange. Now, as far as the negatives go, as much as I really enjoyed Damon Herriman as an actor and loved his work on Justified, the Lucky Callahan character in The Bondsman wasn't extraneous, but, and he is a big bad on the series. I just was not completely, really the big bad obviously is Satan, the devil, right? But he as the second big bad on the first season, I was just mixed. He was at towards the end of the series, he ended up being more of an annoyance to me than an addition. I think the big strengths of the Bondsman is the family dynamic, trying to figure out where Hub, if he's going to go, maybe become less evil and become hopefully a good law-abiding human being. That's interesting to me. Also, there is a reason why Hub was sent to hell, and when you try to figure out what happened, why does Hub have a moment of darkness in his life? I think that's really well developed, and I think it really bumped up the series for me on a depth level. And then the ending, episode 8 of The Bondsman, made me want to return for a second season of The Bondsman. Actually, Erik Oleson mentioned in the interview that he left the 8th episode with that, not a cliffhanger, with that really showy moment for hopefully there might be a second season of The Bondsman. I hope there is. Kevin Bacon is perfect in this role of Hub Halloran as a guy who was once had country music dreams possibly, but he became ultimately a bondsman. And you get to realize what are some of the flaws that Hub has during his journey as a human being, and now as maybe he's still a human being, but he has some undead DNA in him as well, because he's basically only resurrected thanks to the devil. I think there's the Bondsman second season will be even stronger. With the writing's good here, but a lot of the Bondsman episodes were there to set the table for a season 2. Okay. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. And even as, let's just say, even if this is just a singular season and it gets canceled or they don't have the funds to go for a second season, the Bondsman is still worth a watch for the first season. It's an above average show for me just because of the performances and because, again, what happens regarding Hub in his past. That was a really good reveal. Also, learning a little bit more about Midge. And yeah, I really enjoyed the world of the Bondsman, which can only be developed so far because each episode is 25 to 30 minutes. But I really like a brisk, easygoing series. And I felt that with the Bondsman. When I was finished, I was thinking, yeah, I really want to watch the second season. So that's why this rating for me, 4 stars for the Bondsman. Definitely check it out. Would love to hear what you guys think of the show. Yeah, again, give The Bondsman a shot. If you're a Kevin Bacon fan, should be right up your alley. But then also Jennifer Nettles is very good in this. She has really good meaty role. And then again, even though I was a little bit mixed on Lucky Callahan as the main bad guy-ish dude, Damon Herriman is a very good actor as well. But again, I think come to see Beth Grant's performance as Kitty Halloran in The Bondsman. And most importantly, tell me what you think of the series as well. All right. Now, finally, MobLand. I was mentioning Kevin Bacon and Jennifer Nettles. These are really good stars. And now Beth Grant, I'm going to go on IMDb and watch everything Beth Grant is in after watching The Bondsman. Anyways, but with MobLand, here we go. It's created by Ronan Bennett. He is the creator of the acclaimed series Top Boy, and I think it was last year's Peacock miniseries or series, The Day of the Jackal, that was acclaimed as well. He is the creator of MobLand. Unlike, it's 10 episodes. Okay, remember the Bondsman's 8 episodes. MobLand is 10 episodes. And unlike the Bondsman, MobLand is a little bit meatier, a little bit longer. And here's the official plot summary. I'm going to go really quick on this. Quote, power is up for grabs as the Harrigans and Stevensons, 2 warring London crime families, clash in a kill or be killed battle that threatens to topple empires and ruin lives. Okay, so Harry D'Souza is a fixer. Harry is played by Tom Hardy, and Harry is very, very, let's just say he's loyal to his crime family, and his crime family are the Harrigans. And the Harrigans, the problem with the Harrigans is the good news is they're ruled with a very tight fist by Pierce Brosnan's character. And Pierce Brosnan's character is, well, if you love Pierce Brosnan, this is a must see because he really goes over the top on the show as the leader of the crime family. He is Conrad Harrigan. All that said, his wife is Maeve, played by Helen Mirren, and she's also scenery chewing. When I say scenery chewing, I mean this in the best way. She is chewing up scenery as Maeve Harrigan, and she plays a sort of a Lady Macbeth-like character. Between these two, with this couple, they are both very power hungry, and they both have different ways of how to rule the crime family. Ultimately, for the 3 episodes, you get to realize that Maeve is sort of like a de facto Lady Macbeth type of character, and Conrad Harrigan, again played by Pierce Brosnan, you're wondering, is he really powerful, or is he maybe henpecked or under the rule of thumb by his wife Maeve? And I wouldn't be surprised in coming episodes if there's going to be a Conrad versus Maeve on how they rule the family type of dynamic. That will be interesting to watch. But as far as interesting to watch, is MobLand worth your time? Yes. Well, yes, with a big caveat. Okay, if you want to see Tom Hardy, Helen Mirren, Pierce Brosnan do their thing, you're going to get to see, at least within the first 3 episodes, some really standout moments from Helen Mirren and Pierce Brosnan when they're in their mansion and they're calling meetings and they're doing all these really manipulative things to each other and to other people. That's fun to watch. Tom Hardy, we know he can also be very charismatic in his respective roles. He is more tamped down, very stamped down as Harry D'Souza, because he has to be very relatively unemotional as the fixer, a guy who you don't know what's going on behind those eyes, what kind of cards he's playing. And I think that's a pretty interesting character. And the big plot point in MobLand is a son of the Stevenson crime family. Let me see who plays Stevenson right now. One of the sons has gone missing. Okay, so the head of the Stevenson's family learns that the grandson of Conrad and Maeve Harrigan might be responsible for his own son's disappearance because they were last seen together at a nightclub. So think of it. There are 2 sons, one from each crime family. One of those sons is missing, and possibly the heir apparent, the grandson of Maeve and Conrad Harrigan, and that is played by Anson. He's played by Anson Boone. Anson Boone is the Harrigan. I don't know what the Harrigan's name is. Yes, Anson Boone is Eddie Harrigan, and Eddie is sort of like just a total SOB, very arrogant, and yeah. If you've seen Game of Thrones, think of Joffrey. He's basically like a Joffrey type. So Anson Boone might be the rotten seed that might bring down the Harrigans because who knows? Why is that son from the Stevenson clan missing? Will you find out? I'm not going to say if you're going to find out in the first 3 episodes, but that's the main mystery. And Harry has to basically play a chess match and figure out, not play both sides, but he's got to figure out how to find the missing son from the opposite crime family without having this really big war between the 2 clan. So it's interesting enough for me watching MobLand. I think the big subtractions are, I understand The Sopranos, great series. The family life of The Sopranos was interesting to me. It was sometimes even more interesting than the mob stuff. For me, Harry's family situation with his daughter and his wife it's just flawed. I just was, every time we cut to Harry trying to deal with the stuff with his family, I was pretty much on snooze alert, I was not really, those to me were wasted minutes Okay, even though I understand the job of a fixer is to fix everything that is across his or her path, right? And having that family element in MobLand is very necessary for the development of Harry's character and the enriching of the story. That said, the story itself and the problems that he has with his respective family, you've seen it before. In fact, you've seen MobLand before, probably. It doesn't feel too original. It's not bordering on contrived, but it doesn't seem to have its own real flavor. Okay. And I don't mind. I don't mind that because again, you have Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, and Helen Mirren leading the way, and it's great to watch them perform. And it's great to see Harry try to get himself into something and get himself out of something, even at the most pivotal moments in the story. And it's great to see all those puzzle pieces and whatnot. But with MobLand, you've seen it before. I mentioned with the Bondsman, I'm so excited to see the second season. After every episode was done, I wanted to see the next episode. With MobLand, I enjoyed all three episodes, but I'm not clamoring for the fourth episode to watch. All right, I'm not too excited to do deep dives into each episode. They're fun to watch. They're good enough to watch, and I will be completing the 10 episodes of MobLand on Paramount Plus. Thanks again to Paramount Plus for supplying me with the first 3 episodes as sort of a look into the series. It's good, but it's not great. And I want great, and I hope it gets better. All that said, it can get better because this show does have some really standout moments, including, and I gotta find his name, the head of the Stevenson clan. He's very good as the guy who's really understandably just going crazy over his missing son. He doesn't know where his son is. So that's interesting. But again, I just want a lot of the subplots in MobLand are not too appealing for me. Hopefully within the subsequent episodes, it will get stronger. So currently, as of the first 3 episodes, I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Give it a watch. It's not, in my opinion, it's not going to waste your time, especially if you like those top 3 actors. Okay. And yeah, currently streaming on Paramount Plus. Tell me what you think of MobLand on Prime. Not currently streaming, but streaming starting April 3rd is The Bondsman on Prime Video. Tell me what you think of The Bondsman as well. And that is it for this installment of CinemAddicts. Thank you guys so much for your support of our podcast. We will be doing a lot more TV projects, different stuff as the episodes and weeks ensue. And most importantly, check out our show. Check out our show later this week when we have all of our movie reviews for this coming week. It will be released to podcast feeds on Thursday, and then again, Patreon members get it a day early on that Wednesday evening. All right, guys, take care. Talk to you soon.